Today, we're going to talk about learning from personal defeat. And I'm going to start off with a quote from Bruce Lee, and I'm going to refer back to it during this episode. So pay close attention because it's pretty important. Defeat is a state of mind. No one is ever defeated until defeat has been accepted as a reality. To me, defeat in anything is merely temporary, and its punishment is but an urge for me to exert greater effort to achieve my goal. Defeat simply tells me that something is wrong in my doing. It is a path leading to success and truth. That is a quote from Bruce Lee. It is important to note that Bruce Lee defines defeat not as a mistake or a failure, but as an attitude of giving up or a depressive attitude, a loss of energy. We can call it negative self talk. And are we trying to blame ourselves? Are we trying to blame others? One way to make this major change in attitude is to take responsibility and reframe the failure. Let's discuss this. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Kathy Owen. I have been a certified fitness trainer and certified life coach since 2002. On this channel, we talk about having a growth mindset, healthy habits, fitness, and even some reality transurfing. Let's get into the episode. We all get knocked down and experience moments where things go wrong. It is important to process your feelings about that failure, but you cannot dwell there. It will only hurt you. Failure is merely temporary, and if you accept defeat and then stay knocked down instead of getting back up, you must accept defeat to be honestly, truly defeated. Now, this week's episode comes from the virtue building program that I have. It's a free program, and you can sign up for your 12-week program right straight to your email box at kathyowen.com/virtues. When you have a fear of failure, it can be harder to get back up after life knocks you down. Working through the feeling of defeat can be more difficult than deciding to stay knocked down. It can feel like it's going to be more hard to overcome this battle. The answer to your problem is within the problem itself. Ironically, this is the case. To find the answer next time you get stuck in defeat or what you feel like is defeat, ask yourself the following questions. What is it that you are trying to do? Why weren't you able to do it? Was it something that was within your power to control, or was it outside of your control? And also, what can you learn from all of this? I suggest trying new things and getting out of your comfort zone. This can be a great way to find correct answers to those questions. It's a learning experience. Just look at it that way. Right this very minute, I'm going through this very experience. In fact, it's too fresh to talk about, but I am learning from this defeat. Here is what I found. My mentor, Joseph Rodriguez, always says cause and effect are simply theater playing out in the real world, in the 3D world. The first time I heard this, it did not really totally make sense to me. But every day as I face new challenges, I see this more clearly. In a nutshell, it all comes down to responsibility. Make responsibility a deliberate practice. I felt so threatened recently, but the bottom line was there was a lack of communication between myself and others. On my part, first of all. And the end result came with a lesson from failure. And that lesson was extremely valuable. Remember, my friend, it is not what happens that counts. It is how you react to it. Your mental attitude determines what you make of it. Either make it a stepping stone or a stumbling block. And we are all human beings. We're going to mess up. I had the wrong mindset. Yes, even I have the wrong mindset sometimes. But a light bulb went off over my head. I forgave myself for my past failures, set new goals, and put my best effort in moving forward. You can control how you react to failure. What did you learn? Can you try a different approach to your endeavor? And what happens if you reposition your view of this situation? I found when the middle of a difficult situation, taking responsibility is an effective belief system that serves me in the long run. That responsibility can be as simple as taking charge of your reactivity. Reactivity is simply an emotional symptom of an ego's temper tantrum. I know I say this all the time, but I'm going to repeat it because it's super important. Reactivity is simply an emotional symptom of an ego's temper tantrum. Oftentimes, we are reactive because what is happening is not in alignment with our heart and intuition. Or, put it in reality transurfing terms, it is not in alignment with our outer intention. Our ego wants its own way. When we listen to our ego and do not take responsibility for our reactivity, it will always be the wrong answer. I'm just saying. Bruce Lee said, put the different fragments of the dream together and re-own these fragmented parts, re-own the hidden potential of the dream. Anytime we are defeated in some way, it is because we are working towards a dream, most likely. And when we fail, we can think that all of our effort was worthless. But originally, there was excitement in our dream. Pick up those pieces of your dream and re-own the dream. Ask your heart and intuition, which are the pieces you should focus on? You'll get the answer. It is easy to focus on the losses and the difficulties. Why not focus on the parts of your journey that were giving you joy, satisfaction, and energy? It's not a shame to be knocked down by other people. The important thing is to ask when you are being knocked down, why in the heck am I being knocked down? If a person can reflect in this way, then there is hope. That hope is in the form of taking responsibility for your part in the knockdown. That, my friend, is the right mindset. This can be a great starting point in learning from defeat. You have to investigate why you are being knocked down and be objective in your understanding of what happened. If you're open to growth, then you know that there are things that you can do better. Defeat educates and leads us to the truth. Think of your defeat as a teacher instead of an enemy. You know, Bruce Lee also said it is not what happens that is success or failure, but what it does to the heart of a man. No man is defeated unless he is discouraged. Rings so true. When you've lost your heart connection, that is when you are defeated. Don't let the failure break your heart. Try and be in relationship with the lesson instead. Like my mentor always says, if you don't like where you are right now, find a way to love it. What I have found is this is one of the best belief systems, and it has served me on so many occasions. Why add tension of emotion or negative thought to a situation which is in reality a passing moment? Do what seems wise to be done. Forget it and walk on. Do not take up residency in the negativity of failure. The sting of defeat is meant to be a wake-up call, not a life sentence. However, I will add this. Sometimes we need to soak in the negative situation, process it, and understand it. Oh my gosh, I've done this so many times. Once you have done this, you can forget it and walk on. Once the issue has been resolved. For instance, it took me 10 days to process and come to a place of closure on my recent failure. And I wouldn't even call it a failure except for the fact that I beat myself up over this incident that just happens in real life. At one point in his life, Thomas Edison had a beloved laboratory that burned to the ground, and you may have heard about this story before because it's pretty famous. But Thomas Edison is famously quoted as saying, "Can you believe it?" Rather than saying, "Oh God, what did I do to deserve this? 67 years, I faithfully lived my life, and this is what I get in return." Instead, he says, "Hey, son, go get your mother. This is one unbelievable sight. Look at that fire." Talk about reframing defeat. There are major crises and tragedies that happen in our lives that we have to struggle through. Don't expect yourself to be chipper and upbeat during a tragedy. It is a natural struggle emotionally. It is tough. But in those crises, there are threads of growth that you can start to work with if that is a place you want to move out of. If you stay present at the moment during the tragedy or crisis, then not every moment is a horrible moment. For example, when my friend's brother died, they were actually in a state of shock and grief. But even during this tragedy, there were moments when everyone would laugh. They would tell stories about her brother and laugh at what a crazy goofball he was. In those moments when there's kindness or joyfulness, take them and hold on tight to them. You might be in the midst of a bigger problem, but if you can stay present in the moment, there are good moments in there. By the way, that is, in fact, authentic positivity, not toxic positivity. Because honestly, positivity is not toxic. If you've listened to my content, you know I say that over and over and over again. It's forced, absolutely, but it's never toxic. You know, when Bruce Lee was in Hollywood, he was told repeatedly that he was not good enough to be a leading man in the movies or that he had the wrong skin color. It could have felt like everyone is telling me this is true, so it must be true. But Bruce believed in himself and knew himself. What the Hollywood establishment was saying to Bruce was just the mindset of a few people in power at the time. It wasn't true in the general public. As soon as Bruce went to a different country, he became a leading man. Sometimes you have to switch your position, location, or view of a situation to accomplish what you dream. Here is a quote, and I don't know who said this, but think about it for a minute. The control of our being is not unlike the combination of a safe. One turn of the knob rarely unlocks a safe. Each advance and retreat is a step towards one's goal. Wow. You know, that's pretty powerful. Just think about that. Opening a combination to a safe. You got to go forward, you got to go back, and you got to go forward. But it's each advance and retreat is a step. It's a step towards your goal. Sometimes you have a good thing happen, which propels you forward, and then a bad thing that brings you backward. Don't get caught up in the small picture. Instead, focus on how you are moving in the right direction toward accomplishing your dream. This type of positive attitude will bring about real change. The growth mindset person is known as pliable. When a man is living, he is soft and pliable. When he is dead, he becomes rigid. I always talk about this with fitness, but pliability is life. Rigidity is death, whether one speaks of his body, his mind, or his soul. With every adversity comes a blessing because a shock acts as a reminder to oneself that we must not get stale in our routines. One of the things I have found in my new strategies of life is to be cautious of importance. Importance is a topic we discuss in reality transurfing. And Vadim says it best because when we put something on a pedestal of importance, balance forces will come in and knock it down. It's like you're up on that high horse and then all of a sudden something comes in to knock you down. That's what happens. But an essential part of the learning process is knowing how to reduce importance. What I have found during my most recent learning endeavor is that a big component of responsibility helps reduce importance. When you ask, how am I responsible for this defeat? The answer will always come in reducing importance. And oftentimes, this comes in reducing the importance of self. I'm just saying. So, how can you take action from today's episode? When you get knocked down by life's or circumstance, how can you reframe it as a learning opportunity? How can you use this as an opportunity to learn more about yourself rather than place blame outside of yourself? If you've recently been knocked down by something, ask, what would you like to teach me? Become your own best friend. Try some serious positive self talk. This will be good for your own mindset and your mental health. And I can promise it will lead to greater success tomorrow. And that's very good news, don't you think? Here's some journal prompts, and they're also in the download of the week at kathyowen.com/virtues. Look for the seed of an equivalent benefit in every defeat you experience. This isn't always easy when you've suffered a setback, but it is an important part of the science of personal achievement. The time to begin mastering this skill is now, instead of while you're licking your wounds. Failure and pain are one language through which nature speaks to every living creature, pointing out mistakes. Animals may become timid so that they avoid a threatening situation when it arises again. You must become humble so that you can acquire wisdom and understanding. Realize that the turning point at which you begin to attain success is usually defined by some form of defeat or failure. With this realization, you need not accept defeat as a failure, but only as a temporary event that may prove to be a blessing in disguise. All right, that's my episode for today. I hope you liked it. I trust that you found it helpful. If you know someone who can benefit from this, please share it with them. And until next time, I'll see you next time. Peace out and namaste.